It's not just about experience and talent. It's also really the personality. Oh, hi, fellow foreigners. I was just telling Emily how when you reach the level of professionalism that we're at, like you really don't need to like beg people for money with like things for our lights, and we did this all ourselves. But what we do need is your subscriptions, and hit those like buttons. You got to tell the powers that be, the algorithms, what that you know that we're the best in the whole world of China vloggers. Make sure that you get out there, get subscribed to everybody, because you're not going to get like your tourism or stuff like that from us. That's not what we specialize in. But quality China,
banter.
Yeah, that's professional. That's what I'm saying. The way you can just pick up like that.
We've got all the words.
Yeah. So subscriptions, likes, and share it. Tell your friends. And today we're going to be talking about making plans. How, I mean, in general, as we're finding out all around the world, go make all the plans you want. Nature's going to decide what to do about it anyways. But especially when you live here in China, the plans that you make are not really necessarily going to always, unless you have lots of money, and then you can just throw money at stuff and you might make it out alive or not. So we're going to play a little what? And in this game,
we take a look at some Chinese lessons I have taken and try to examine when in the world of human events you would use sentences like these. So you ready for our first sentence?
First sentence, go.
Okay, our first sentence. 𝗖𝗵ន់曦趁着孩子还在睡觉就走了. And that means she was fierce. Taking advantage of the fact that her son was still sleeping, she just left.
Oh my word! What? Wow! I don't mean. What kind of context would you need that in? I'm trying to even imagine the scenario. I first thought is like a bus station.
Of course. The son was sleeping, so she left him at the bus station.
Possibly. And then how does the rest of it go? Walk me through this.
So she was fierce.
She was fierce.
Which was the target vocabulary for that sentence.
Okay.
And she took advantage of the fact that her son was still sleeping and left. And yeah, so are we gossiping about a neglectful mom? Are we shaming other mothers? The one thing where this is maybe not shaming that I can think of is a babysitting situation, because sometimes it's hard for the parents to leave when the kids don't want them to. So it could be the babysitter shows up, the kid takes a nap, and mom leaves. That's the kindest interpretation I can make of this sentence.
Have you seen anything like this, like at school? They're dropping off the kindergarten kids for you all the time.
Oh yeah.
So
they take advantage while the kid's back is turned and leave. We don't put them to sleep upon arrival, but
the children.
It's
still a little injection.
Some of them are still waking up actually when they get to school in the morning. But yeah, no, there is a lot of mommy, don't leave.
And how does the fierceness in the mother?
Well, and I do have to point out, so this set of lessons I took that sentence from is very judgmental about how women behave. That's also
particularly women, or just everyone in general?
Particularly women, but everybody in general. And it's half run by a Canadian, so it's not a Chinese chauvinism. It's a universal chauvinism. But like
Canadians,
𝗖𝗵ន់曦 is the target vocabulary. She was fierce. Which could be, like, you could have made the sentence, and then she plunged off the cliff into the body of water, instead of, like, abandoning a child. It's just a weird place to go.
Do you think that, is it possible then that this is an interpretation of Canadian academia trying to convey an understanding of Chinese social mannerisms? Think that's what's happening?
I think it's an example of Canadian judgment.
Who would ever think you'd be judged by a Canadian?
Well, they're polite, but judgmental.
I see.
No, I don't know. I've met a lot of Canadians. They seem nice if passive aggressive about clearly stating they're Canadian when they travel, so they won't get confused for Americans.
And interesting, it would be with a word like fierce too.
Yeah,
Like something that to pin an aggressive word from a not so aggressive society.
Yeah.
Is it out of fear? Are the Canadians fearful of the Chinese is what I'm positing.
Who can say? Canadians weigh in.
Canadians, down below. Are you fiercer than you really let on? Is that why you're trying to take over the world secretly?
I mean, the sentence does not imply that the mom won't be coming back, which leaves it open to the babysitting scenario. Or, like you said, the school drop-off scenario. But it does seem like that's a doozy.
Who is the babysitter then? This is the English speaker.
I guess
This is taking on...
So maybe the babysitter is later talking to her colleagues, her babysitting colleagues. Oh,
So
the mom was fierce. She left while the child was sleeping, which also is not fierce if you have to wait for the child to fall asleep.
So I'm all confused by where this is coming from and what it's trying to do.
Yeah, I mean, the really, it sounds like gossiping about a neglectful mom.
I mean...
But in an admiring way, maybe I'm coming around too.
Maybe? I mean...
Mothers, leave your children.
I'm just imagining like a bunch of like au pairs sitting around the Irish bar after hours in Chengdu somewhere and gabbing about how Chinese mothers are attacking them on no matter what they do. So it feels a very defensive kind of like, you better learn this or else, I mean, one day you're going to come
No
across.
matter which way you slice it, it's pretty judgmental.
All right.
All right. Well, let's move on to number 2.
I don't have to feel good about that, but...
Yeah. You can feel good about number 2.
Yes.
纽约在波士顿南方, which is New York, is to Boston south.
Which is Boston? I mean, just factual. Okay.
It's true. It's very true.
To the south?
New York is to the south of Boston. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, just
I guess this is well-needed geography lesson all around.
Right. Well, I mean, it's just ever so slightly like that would be a strange thing to be like you actually to me, I believe you are south to me. I mean, if the sun was coming around this side of the room.
I mean, yeah, it is. I am to your south. We are to each other as Boston is to New York. Get your SAT pencils out. It's time for what's that called? Not similes.
I don't know,
Whatever.
but why it seems, especially in we're talking from a China's perspective. Why in China would you be? What a strange.
Yeah.
To
and also like. Of all the place names in all the world, New York and Boston are the first ones I need to know. Yeah. And also defining New York relative to Boston rather than the other way around.
Right.
Sorry, Boston family.
That's upsetting completely as a New Yorker.
Yeah.
And I love Boston too. But I mean, Boston is definitely an afterthought. I mean, I would say maybe Chicago or something would have been. LA's too far away.
Yeah.
And
Los Angeles.
That doesn't
I forget
really,
how to say it.
But the southern part is actually, because for a second I had to stop and think, are we talking south as in like, in regional, like is it very southern? Like
well, that's also as a northeastern grown person. We're not leaving the Northeast. We're defining the cities within the Northeast relative to each other. So, again, I've chosen one that really resonates with me personally. But
that's why you choose them.
I mean, it's just like ridiculously specific and like. Are you teaching a geography lesson? Then it's useful. Is your hometown New York or Boston, and you're trying to explain to someone who knows where one is? But not the other? Where the other is?
Culturally, like, I mean, I could see if maybe you were here in China and you were studying Boston as a historical place, it's got tons of history, but like culturally, I mean, like I think in Beijing there's a Friends bar. So New York.
Oh, like from the TV show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
New York is always going to be permeating culture around the world.
Yeah.
Boston in a worldwide way.
Well, sometimes I bring up Boston and I don't think people know where I'm talking about.
Yeah, I mean, you don't. You had Cheers.
Yeah.
You have the Boston Tea Party. You have.
Well, it's very important to American history, but the Chinese are not actually well versed in American history, as we Americans are not well versed in Chinese history. Like
Or American.
often people ask me if New York is the capital of the United States, and not because they're so dumb. It just is like, can you name a city besides Beijing in China? Well, we got a lot of China watchers watching our channel, so they
Hopefully
can. But
subscribe.
How much can you talk about China's infrastructure?
I mean,
again, not
I'm guessing by
not other vloggers.
by our search terms, no one has almost ever looked up Luzhou. So
yeah,
no one
the
even
people
knows
who
our
look up
city.
Luzhou are from Luzhou.
Yeah, it's the
hello.
The few watchers out there. So, yeah, there's mammoth places. I mean, I don't even know. Have I ever heard anyone mention Chicago here in China?
Yeah.
And you hear Hollywood a lot, but I mean that's less a city that people are thinking about. They're not thinking about LA. They're thinking about. But
just today, I did learn how to say Oakland in Chinese.
really,
Alkalan. Because
That's kinda cool.
Because I was reading an article about how animals are taking back the cities. And in Oakland, there's like wild turkeys in the street, according to this article.
it's awesome. You're doing a great job, world.
Yeah.
What else do we have today? Before things go down on a route that that we're tired of.
Oh, I should have looked up how to say this character. I'm gonna take a guess. 我可地铁去医院. And that means I'll take the subway to the hospital.
Ooh.
Which sounds alarming,
Yeah,
right?
definitely. I don't want that, especially in today's world, but like in any world.
Yeah, like when who does choose that? I mean, I guess there are non-emergency reasons to go to the hospital, but it does say like.
True. Okay, but you don't just.
I have taken a subway to go to the hospital.
I guess in America you're more apt to say I could take the subway to the doctor's office. When you say hospital, it does sound more alarming, like there's an emergency. So let's just say it is an emergency. Then we have to think, first of all, who's that person talking to?
Right.
I mean,
right.
is somebody offered like, oh my God, your foot has fallen off. Should I take you to the hospital? I'll drive you there.
I'll take the subway to the
Hey,
hospital.
I'll take the subway. I never needed that before.
New Yorker.
Come on, I walk around with no feet all the time.
Yeah. There's the obvious. You're not worried enough about the emergencies that just occurred to you.
Right.
I think the other obvious thing that emerges is you are going to the hospital as a visitor.
Oh, right. Okay.
So you could, because those are the circumstances. I have taken the hospital to the subway. No, other way around. To visit people. But like, do you announce that?
I suppose. I
And
mean,
you wouldn't announce to the sick person, I'm coming, I'll take the subway to the hospital.
I don't care how you get here. Just freaking bring some cake or something.
Yeah.
Or whatever you bring people in hospitals.
Yeah.
A magazine do magazines exist anymore?
I don't know, but if they did that, that's really the only situation I could think you'd need one, is the hospital.
And you can read it on the subway.
Yeah. I'll take the
Works.
subway. I'll take this magazine on the subway to the hospital.
And now that subways are getting a lot more popular here over the last 5-10 years since we've been here.
Yeah.
More and more cities are popping up. Mm-hmm. With subways, that's pretty exciting.
rumored to get a subway.
Oh my God, I go to the hospital all the time.
So we may in fact take a subway to the hospital.
God. We're so behind everything. When we first got here, the subways were just starting in Chengdu.
There was line 1 was just finished.
Just started, and we luxuriously drove up and down it. And
Yeah.
we would have gone to the hospital. It was just so much fun.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, I remember the first time being on a subway going to San Francisco. That was like
You took the subway to San Francisco?
all the way to San Francisco from New England. No,
I hear New England is north of San Francisco.
but it was better than Disneyland or something like that. Wow, what a crazy world of traveling underground with the trolls and.
Well, we lived in the city when I was a kid, so it wasn't. I remember like rush hour being really tired and like sitting on the floor of the subway, and my mom being like, "Get up! You can't sit on the floor of the subway."
Because they were dirty back then too.
Oh, they were dirty back then.
They were probably still dirty to some extent, but in any event,
dirty in a different way now.
Yeah, don't be taking the subway to the hospital.
Well, but then again, like, if this is a conversational sentence to know, who are you telling? I guess if someone's offering you a ride too, if you're the visitor and someone's offering you a ride, and you're like, I'll just take the subway to the hospital.
Which, I mean, depending on what kind of city you're in, I mean, take the ride. If somebody's going there already, you might as well just carpool with that.
Unless you don't like them. So someone you don't like is offering you a ride to the hospital as a visitor, and you say, no, I'll take the subway.
You know what this sounds like? This is a bad day.
Yeah.
Why am I hanging out with people?
Your friend is in the hospital.
I don't like the person that's asking me if they want to ride. I don't like anything about this situation.
Yeah,
Let's get the hell out of here.
It's not a good
I don't want any more of this question.
But, not everything in life is fun. Okay, here's another upsetting one.
Oh, jeez.
2点半，更正确点说是2点一刻 which is, it's 2:30. To be more precise, it's 2:15. Which immediately I think your definition of precise is incorrect. 15 minutes off is not more precise.
I'm looking at the clock and it's 2:12 at the moment, so...
Oh, to be more precise.
Even more precise.
Yeah.
At what point is it just useless to get this precise?
But
what if we're like taking off in a rocket or shooting a bomb or something?
If you just say it's about 2:15, actually it's 2:12.
Yeah.
That's to be more precise.
Yeah,
why are you telling people the wrong time?
Yeah, if it's just small talk, if you just happen to glance and you're just like, you're that like kind of anal person that's, it's actually 2:12, you know, I mean.
Again, not to get too real, maybe the distinctions of time have started to run together because you're not leaving the house. Yeah. It's Tuesday. To be more precise, it's Sunday.
Could you imagine living with one of those kinds of people that like everything has to be the exact.
To the minute.
It's at this time, or not just even time, but like a real anal retentive OCD person that like everything has to be defined exactly all the time, and you're losing time. You don't even know what day it is anymore, and this person has got to constantly remind you that it's 2:12 on Monday. Is it Monday? It is Monday.
I think it's Monday, yeah, because school didn't start today. Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm fairly loose. I'm fairly loose with time. I have bad time management sometimes. But I would never say to someone a time that was 15 minutes away from now as the actual time. And then be like, actually, scratch that. It's 2:15. Unless I was just like guessing.
What if you were baking something? Like
not precise enough.
That's even still too loose for you then. For a bread or a cake or something that needs to rise.
Bread is not done within 15 minutes. It's either done now or 15 minutes later. It's not like, whenever. That's like the deal with baking.
So this is another helpful tip for you, those of us that are in quarantine at the moment.
Don't be sloppy. This is my tip, I guess. If I ask you what time it is, don't give me a guess time.
Yeah, a guesstimate is not useful.
I could guesstimate. It's about Tuesday.
Yeah, roughly somewhere in that vein of during this month.
Yeah. It's May, April? I don't know. Spring? It's spring. I can tell you that much.
The birds say so.
To be more precise, it's Earth. Okay, and our last one.
Okay.
It's a good one.
I'm going to concentrate.
一大杯饮料会让我更激动.
I didn't get it.
A big glass of something to drink would make this more exciting. Which I just love. That's the person I want to hang out with.
Yeah. I mean, the obvious one is that it's some kind of alcohol, so like...
Yeah, I mean, the Chinese does not specify alcohol, but the way I translated it implies alcohol.
Because there's a huge amount of people that we've hung out around here that would, back before when I did drink, that would be okay, bring it on, and then I get some tea. And I was like, well, this is less exciting than I was totally expecting.
Well, yeah, that's so the Chinese does not specify alcohol, but what kind of drink is exciting? I guess like espresso. Super caffeine.
There's a lot of depending on where you're living, where we live in a fruitopia of wonderful bounty of flavors, that There's a lot of fruit drinks that does get pretty exciting.
I did have that exciting milk tea the other day. Cold brew.
Yeah. I mean, that's just out of the grocery store,
I have one in the fridge.
Oh.
A big glass of something to drink will make me excited.
Right after this podcast, we're going to have a really exciting cup of cold brew milk tea.
But more, it's not just like...
Is there a brand on that? Can we get in on this?
Oh yeah, sponsorship. I don't know what the brand is, but...
All right, next time.
Brought to you by some brand of milk tea. But it's not just the implication of like the illicit drinking of alcohol that I find exciting about this sentence. It is that kind of over it. I feel like you're standing in the back of your kid's play or something, and you're like, this would be more fun with a big glass of something to drink. Or you're like in a museum, and like what situation? It's an inappropriate person who says that.
Right.
I feel.
I mean, almost
and inappropriate in an enjoyable way.
Don't worry. I'm going to take the subway to the hospital, but it would be a lot more exciting with a big, tall drink. I feel like I've had classes with students that may have said
in
something.
The back.
Yeah, in the back. I don't have a problem with this English teacher, but a lot more exciting with a nice big drink with. Because then they do, and some of them have pulled out like wine coolers or something. You're like, what are you doing? Came out of my lunch bag, it's okay.
Yeah. We're allowed to buy these here. Oh, okay.
Right. At lunchtime, go get us some beers then.
Yeah, but I like the anti-authoritarian approach to, and the disengagement from whatever you're involved in.
Yeah.
I don't like this, but I would like it better with a drink. So, I think that's pretty neat. Yeah.
All right, well, and so in summation, the things you're going to plan to do are not going to turn out like you always wanted to, especially in China.
I mean, plans are annoying, so why not be annoying while you're making plans?
And do it somewhere around 2:15.
Yeah, don't tell anyone any real time. Noodles to you.